Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all good? I hope so. Y'all listen, let's get into the final episode of Under the Bridge. I want to thank everybody who has taken the time out to listen to these reviews. I really appreciate it. I have enjoyed this series. It was bittersweet, but I did enjoy it because they just put it together so well and the pacing was great. I enjoyed it, and I hope we find something else interesting to watch, okay? Let's get into this video. Everything that I'm saying in this video is in my opinion and is for entertainment purposes only. And the Copyright Act of 1976, Section 107 gives me fair use to this information as I do this review of Under the Bridge, Episode 8, titled Mercy Alone. Okay, so the episode description reads, the last opportunity for justice arrives as all the participants reckon with their true involvement in the events that transpired. This story is based on actual events. Certain elements have been fictionalized or invented for dramatic purposes. So we know we left off with Warren being on trial with the prosecuting attorney asking him how involved was he and how involved was Kelly. And he said 3 and 7. But even with that, Warren was found guilty for second degree 187. And when they walked him out, Rebecca was hugging him. And Rena's parents saw it and they looked at Rebecca with utter disgust. And Kelly's little plan worked. Her attorney was able to get her out since they thought that she was being harmed in the detention center. In this episode, it opens in the past with the girls rapping to Rena's Biggie CD when Joe told her to get off of the bed before she breaks it. And that's when the girls left to go over to Connor's, but they told Rena that she couldn't go. And that's when Rena took Joe's journal and called everybody in it. And she called Connor and told him that Joe had disease and that she had had an abort. So later that day, Joe called Kelly and they were talking about all the things they were going to do to Rena. Now, while Kelly is on the phone, her mom is standing right there. She is standing right there while Kelly is saying that they should go to a forest, dig a deep hole, push Rena in, and bury her alive. Joe says, yeah, let's effing KILL her, and hangs up. Kelly looks at the phone and you could tell that she thinks that Joe is serious. Joe goes up to her room to get ready for the shoreline party and she asks Dusty if she knew that Rena was going to do that. Dusty says she didn't have nothing to do with that. Joe says that she's actually impressed and that they should make Rena CMC. Dusty says, you're asking me? I'm not even CMC. Joe says, sure you are. We was just effing around. Dusty doesn't believe her. So Joe opens her hand. She does the slit. Then she takes Dusty's hand and does the same thing. And then they shake on it. And Joe tells her that they're family now and that family protects their own. Then she calls Rena to invite her to the party at the shoreline. And the interesting thing is that the song that is playing, the lyric says, this is the beginning of forever and ever. And when you think about it, that night did seal the fate for all of them. So then we see Rena running down the street and into the phone booth. The girls catch up with her and pull her under the bridge. Joe wanted to know what was Rena's problem. Rena told Joe that she takes and says whatever she wants. And Rena says, we are sick of it. Joe says, who is we? And Rena looks over at Dusty. Dusty doesn't say anything. So Joe asks Dusty, do we have a problem? Dusty says, no, we don't have a problem. Because remember, Dusty and Rena have formed their own gang. But Joe doesn't know that. And Rena doesn't know that Dusty has joined CMC. Rena apologizes to Joe. Joe hits her, and that's when all the girls jump Rena. Now we're going into the present because, they do past present. So now we're in the present. And Rebecca, she's walking up to the cliff that Gabe jumped from, and she's just reminiscing about him. And during her narration, she says that you don't catch a KILLER, they catch themselves. And then she gets a call from Warren. He tells her that she hasn't been around much and that she should come visit him because it's been forever. Warren says that he joined a group therapy and they said that they should learn to live with what they did, but he doesn't think that he can do that because he hadn't been honest. Rebecca says she know he hasn't been honest, and he wants to know why Rebecca had asked him about that night, and she says she guessed it's because she is scared to hear what he's actually going to say. He invites Rebecca to one of his group sessions where they can literally say what they want. But Rebecca says that she doesn't think that that's a good idea because she's going back to New York and she thinks it'll be best if she heard it in court with everybody else. So Warren says, so you're going to leave me up in here all by myself? Because you have to remember that everybody in Warren's life, they abandoned him. Then we see Cam going over to Seven Oaks to pick up a file from when she lived at Seven Oaks. And she gets there and they are packing the place up. And she told the house manager that she had nothing to do with them being shut down by the magistrate. Next, the scene goes to a news report of them capturing Kelly arriving at the court for the start of her trial. And they nicknamed her Killer Kelly. Then it transitions over to the custody center where the kids are watching the news coverage, and Cam walks in and calls out Joe. They go into the visitors area and she takes Joe a box of her stuff from Seven Oaks. Cam tells Joe that she knows she refuses to testify at Kelly's trial, but she thinks she deserves to hear the truth first. And it's a recording of Kelly saying that Joe has psycho problems. She says weird and demented things all the time, and that she hated Rena. And that Joe said, let's effing Kill her. Joe wanted to know where was that from, and Cam let her know that it was from her interview with Kelly the night that they arrested them. Joe stops the tape and says, I didn't think she would actually do it. And she said that she still wasn't going to testify because she wasn't a rat. Because Joe thinks she's part of the mafia. Cam says, that means you get another 90 days in here, right? Joe starts crying a little bit and says that it really doesn't matter because it's not like I have anywhere else to go. And she asks Cam if she could play the tape again because she wanted to hear Kelly's voice. Now we're at Kelly's trial. The prosecutor says not only is Kelly guilty, but she is proud of what she did. She bragged about it, and they will prove that Kelly 187 Rena with no remorse. The defense attorney says that the media was trying to make an outstanding young lady look like a monster. Then the judge asked if the Crown and the defense could call out their order of witnesses. But when the chief looks over at the witness box, he doesn't see Warren. So he asks Cam to go talk to Rebecca so that she could try to get Warren there. And Cam tells him to go talk to Rebecca himself. So he goes to Rebecca and asks her to find Warren because she is the only one he listens to. Rebecca says she doesn't talk to Warren about the trial because she is not his lawyer and she's not involved. The chief gets mad and tells her she is involved, and if Warren doesn't show up, Kelly may walk because she has the best lawyer in BC. The next scene is the witnesses telling what they saw that night, and the prosecutor asked Dusty if she heard rumors that Kelly 187 Rena, and Dusty said, not rumors, she told me herself. She had Rena's boots in her closet. So then the defense attorney tries to use all of the girls' past against them in order to make them look guilty and Kelly to look innocent. He was picking all of their stories apart. Dusty told him, we are all a part of this. And the defense attorney ran with that statement. Cam was getting disgusted on how they were treating the girls. But hey, the defense attorney was just doing his job. His job was to get Kelly off. So all the police go down to the pub and Cam heads to the bar. Her dad follows her because he could tell something was wrong with her. Cam asked her dad, didn't he feel sick about the trial, like even a little bit? He said no. Then Cam pulls out the news article that were inside of her folder that she picked up from Seven Oaks. Seven Oaks, it was her adoption file. And she points at the news clipping and says, you told me that my family didn't want me and that she was abused and covered in bruises. But the chief said that's what he was told. But on one of her papers, it said that she had bruises at the base of her spine. And Cam says, those are my birthmarks. And then she points out that the news article is about a program called AIM, which stands for Adopt Indian Métis. And AIM sent police officers to take Indian children away from their families and to take them to Seven Oaks. The chief says he never tried to hide anything from Cam. The people at Seven Oaks told him that she needed a family, so he and his wife gave her a family. Cam says, but you told me that I was from Alberta. And she tells him that her real family is a ferry ride away. And she's standing up there wearing a uniform of the people who took her away from her family. The next scene goes to Manjit and Suman. Manjit brought dinner home, called the kids to the table, and then he went to tell Suman that she needs to eat and that the children miss her. She's so depressed that she's just in the bed in the dark, not eating. He tells her that maybe they should try to start a new life in India because there is something wrong with British Columbia. Suman says it's not the place and that they can't run away from what happened to Rena. So next we see Rebecca. She has gone over to Rena's house. She puts her manuscript about Rena on their door, and Suman comes out and she apologizes to her for not doing more. And she tells Suman that she knows what she's facing is unbearable. And Suman says it's excruciating. Rebecca says that she wants to believe that when something tragic happens, it can make you more able to see the beauty that's still, that is still left in the world, and that it didn't happen for her, but she hopes that it happens for Suman and her family. The next scene goes to Warren out on the yard, and Rebecca comes to visit him. He asks her about the book. She told him that most of the book is about him, and folks keep asking her, how did that happen? And Warren says that we just have a bond. Warren says that he knew why she was there, and it was because she was coming to say goodbye because she was going back to New York. Rebecca says, no, someone asked me to bring you to them. He looks into the visitor room and sees Rena's mom. Rebecca told him that speaking with Suman is all up to him. Warren decides to talk to Suman. Suman tells Warren that they had done the worst thing imaginable to her and her family, and that she had been losing sleep thinking about ways to do the same thing to them, and that she is not able to be a mother to her other children because she is too afraid to love them and fear that she may lose them too. That's sad, y'all. Suman told Warren that they took Rena away from them before they could fix things with her, and that they poisoned her family's life, and she needs it to stop. She said in her faith, they believe in mercy, and that she came there to say, I forgive you. But it is the only way out of that pain. That's the only way she can get out of that pain is to forgive Warren. Warren says he doesn't know why he did it. Suman says maybe if someone had shown you kindness earlier, maybe Rena would still be here. So now they're back in court, and this time Warren is in the witness box. Cam walks in, but she doesn't sit down there with her dad. She sits up top with Kelly. The prosecutor tells Warren this is his only chance to tell the truth because that opportunity won't happen again. Warren says that he remembers Kelly telling Rena to take off her shoes. He thought that she was robbing Rena, but then she started hitting her. He jumped in until she was on the ground and they were kicking her all over her body. He said it was like a rush. Warren said he had a lot of negative stuff going on in his life and it felt good to let out all the anger, and that they dragged her to the water, and that's how he knew she had a lot of hair on her back. Then they grabbed her by the legs. Kelly drowned her. Rena was puking blood. Warren says he was right there. And when Kelly held her head under the water, he didn't tell her to stop. He didn't say anything at all. But he was thinking that they were killing her. And he didn't know what to do. It's like he was froze and he didn't show her any mercy, but he really wished he had. Then he apologizes to Rena's family and says that he'll be sorry for the rest of his life. Rebecca rushed out of the courtroom and she just breaks down in the hallway. Now it's Kelly's time on the stand. She starts speaking in this British accent and says that she's not a liar, and everybody is looking around confused. Then she goes back into her regular speaking voice and says she wasn't even there. But then the prosecutor says if someone was hurting Joe, you would want to protect her, right? Kelly looks at her attorney to see how should she answer this question. He nods yes, and she says, yeah, Joe is my best friend. The prosecutor asks Kelly if she was a sensitive person, and Kelly says that she is a sensitive person. So the prosecutor says, so you punched Rena out of love for your best friend. And he asks Kelly to show how she would punch Rena. Kelly demonstrates, and it's so aggressive that her attorney, he just dropped his head. So the prosecutor says, you said that you were just watching Rena get beat up. Did you enjoy watching it? Kelly says, no. Then he says, you look a little distressed. Is the recollection of Rena getting beat up causing you to stress? Kelly says, no, it's you. So he says, oh, I thought you were a sensitive person, but the recollection of Rena getting beat up is not causing you distress. I was like, ooh, he good, baby. So now Kelly is looking nervous. Then he pulls out exhibit number 9, which is 18 pebbles that were retrieved from Rena's lungs. He says, so you drowned Rena so viciously that she inhaled pebbles? Kelly loses it and says, how many times do I have to tell you that I didn't do it? You're wasting my time. I wasn't even there. I did not cross the bridge. I did not Kill Rena Burke. I did not cross the bridge. I did not cross the bridge. I did not Kill Rena. And I will say it until the day I leave this earth. And she was hitting the stand the whole time while she was saying this. And she said that she didn't care how much time she got. After 5 days of deliberation, it was now time for Kelly's verdict. They found Kelly guilty of second-degree 187. But when it got to the sentencing, the judge says that they have to view Kelly as an individual, and that Kelly had an extraordinary and diverse network of family and friends, and she achieved good marks in school, and that a 15-year-old should receive the minimum sentence of 5 years in prison. Then she says to Kelly that she's young and intelligent with a family who believes in her, and she should never let them down or let herself down again. And I was like, what? How dare you lessen her sentence because of who her family knows and because she's 15? Rena was 14. This is supposed to be about getting justice for Rena, not Kelly. So Suman, she looks over at Kelly's mom. She is just hurt. She's broken. She's disgusted. And Kelly's mom can't even look in her face. She just turns her head. Cam and Rebecca sitting up there, they can't believe the verdict that Kelly received, which is crazy because they gave Warren life. But just based off of who Kelly's parents knew, they only gave her 5 years when she was the actual Killer. So now Cam and Rebecca are at the diner, and Rebecca told Cam that she was right about her when it came to Warren, that she did feel like Warren reminded her of Gabe, but more so of herself. Cam says, Rebecca, Gabe fell. And Rebecca says, I don't know that he fell. Rebecca tells Cam that she feels like Warren unalived himself because of her. Cam says even if he didn't fall, it's not on you, and that she should have never said that to Rebecca a long time ago. Then Cam tells Rebecca that she is resigning from the police force and that she might get out of Victoria because she found out where her birth family is and that she's thinking about meeting them. Rebecca says that she was gonna, get out of Victoria, get Victoria out of her system, and head back to New York. Then the scene goes to Rebecca going back to the cliff that Gay was on for the last time in his life. We see Cam going to meet her family, Kelly being taken back to the detention center. Joe was in there sitting with the other two girls that were on trial with them. Dusty was in her room reading, and then we see Rebecca writing while on the ferry leaving Victoria. Now we see Rena's parents in her room putting the door back on, and Suman finds Rena's Biggie CD and she puts it in, and her and Manjit sit on the bed, start dancing and listening to it, but then it scratches and shuts off. Then you can see Rena standing in the doorway. Manjit and Suman is looking in the mirror like they see her too, and then the episode ends. But in the ending credits, it goes on to say that Josephine Bell went on to work as an exotic dancer after serving a year in juvie. Her sentence was extended after she escaped twice. Dusty Pace was one of the only teens who spoke openly about her regrets about the crime to the press, stating, quote, "We should have gotten more time. We were monsters," end quote. Warren devoted his life to restorative justice. He was granted parole in 2010 after Suman and Majid advocated on his behalf. Kelly appealed and was granted 2 additional trials and was ultimately sentenced to life in a legal battle that would span over a decade. She finally took responsibility in her role of Rena's 187, and she now has 2 kids. Rebecca Godfrey passed away in 2022, just weeks before filming the television adaptation of Under the Bridge, and her and Warren kept in touch for over 20 years. And the Verks became symbols of anti-bullying in Canada. Manjit wrote a book about Rena, which was included in the development of this series, but Suman passed away in 2018. And that is the end of the Hulu limited series Under the Bridge. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I enjoyed y'all checking it out, and I'll talk to y'all later.